Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question that could change everything for you. What's going to keep you going when you don't feel like it? What's going to push you out of bed when there's no fire in your belly? When the excitement is gone? When your mood says, "Not today"? We all love the idea of being motivated. It feels good, doesn't it? That rush of adrenaline after watching a powerful video, hearing a passionate speech, or seeing someone crush their goals online. But let me tell you something that might shake you. Motivation is overrated. It's a spark, not a fire. And if you build your dreams on motivation alone, you'll stop the moment that spark fades. What separates the ones who succeed from the ones who just dream is one word: discipline. I've seen this play out over and over again. In the gym, in business, in education, in life. The ones who win are not always the smartest, the fastest, or even the most passionate. They're the most consistent. They show up even when they don't feel like it. They do the work when it's boring. They honor the routine when no one is watching. And that, my friends, is discipline. Discipline is the quiet strength that wakes you up at 5 a.m. to chase your dream. It's the voice that says no to distraction and yes to purpose. It's the force that doesn't wait for a good mood. It builds one. Let me take you back to a moment that taught me this lesson years ago. I set a goal to get in the best shape of my life. I was motivated. Oh man, I was fired up. I bought new gym clothes, planned meals, and made a vision board. You name it. The first 2 weeks, I was on fire. Then week 3 hit. I got sick. Work got stressful. One skipped workout toned into 3. The excitement vanished, and the dream started to fade. That's when I realized motivation was never going to be enough. If I only went when I felt like it, I'd never go. So I made a decision. I replaced emotion with execution. I built a habit. I stopped asking, "Do I feel like it?" and started asking, "What did I commit to?" That shift changed everything. And it didn't just apply to fitness. It applied to writing, speaking, building a brand, learning new skills. You see, discipline doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you do. And when you choose action over mood, again and again, something magical happens. You build trust with yourself. You begin to believe, "I'm the kind of person who follows through." That identity shift, that's power. Think about some of the most successful people in the world. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs. Do you think Serena Williams wins Grand Slams because she's always motivated? No, she trains when she's tired. She practices when she's sore. That's discipline. Do you think Elon Musk is always in the mood to solve problems at 3 a.m.? Absolutely not. But he does it anyway. That's discipline. Motivation is the match. Discipline is the furnace. It burns longer. It burns through resistance. It keeps going when every part of you wants to stop. And let me tell you something else. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about showing up again and again and again, even when you mess up, even when you fall short. The discipline don't wait for inspiration. They create it. They build systems, not wishes. Habits, not hopes. They plan their days around what matters most, not around how they feel in the moment. Because they know feelings are fickle, goals are not. Now I know, some of you might be thinking, but I've never been good with routines. I've always struggled with consistency. Let me be real with you. That's not who you are. That's just what you've practiced. And the good news? You can practice something new. You don't have to wake up tomorrow as a robot of productivity. Start small. Start with one habit. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Read 10 pages a day. Do 20 push-ups. Write for 15 minutes. Make it so easy you can't fail. Then stack the wins. Discipline isn't built by going hard once. It's built by going steady always. I once met a man who completely changed his life with this principle. He was in his late 30s, overweight, stuck in a job he hated, and drowning in self-doubt. He came up to me after a talk and said, "I don't think I'll ever change. I've tried everything." I told him, "Try one thing, just one." For 30 days, he committed to waking up 1 hour earlier to walk and journal every single day. No matter what, rain or shine, guess what happened? At the end of 30 days, he had more energy, more clarity, more confidence. That small act of discipline became his foundation. Today, he's running marathons and leading his own business. Not because he found motivation, but because he built discipline. And that's the message I want to drill deep into your heart tonight. You don't need to feel inspired to take action. You need to act your way into inspiration. If you wait to feel ready, you'll always be waiting. Start when it's hard. Start when you're scared. Start when you don't feel like it, and keep going. Because the greatest version of yourself is not found in your dreams. It's found in your daily discipline. There's a quiet strength in people who simply do what needs to be done. No noise, no announcement, no excuses. These people often go unnoticed because they're not loud about their journey. But give it time, and they're the ones everyone starts asking, "How did you do it?" The truth? They didn't rely on some sudden burst of energy. They relied on discipline. They didn't wait for the stars to align or for the perfect conditions. They created progress one small action at a time. Discipline may not be flashy, but it is always effective. I once heard a story about a bricklayer. Every day, he laid bricks under the blazing sun. It wasn't glamorous work. It wasn't the kind of job that people stop and admire. But he showed up every single day. Rain, shine, exhaustion, it didn't matter. One day, someone asked him, "Don't you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again?" And he smiled and said, "I'm not just laying bricks. I'm building a cathedral. That's discipline. It's doing the work even when the results aren't immediately visible. It's staying the course when no one's clapping. It's trusting that one day all these tiny actions will amount to something massive." When you start to embrace discipline, you unlock something powerful, a life of intention. You no longer drift. You no longer leave your future to chance. You don't let emotions decide your schedule. You don't let fatigue decide your worth. You don't let fear decide your direction. You begin to live on purpose. And the crazy thing is, discipline doesn't restrict your freedom. It creates it. Because when you master your habits, when you command your time, when you choose long-term gains over short-term comfort, That's when you gain control over your life. People always ask, but how do I stay consistent? How do I stay disciplined when I'm tired, when I'm discouraged, when it feels like I'm not making progress? And the answer is, you remember your why. Motivation fades when you forget why you started. But discipline is fueled by purpose. So ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? What's the bigger picture? Because when your why is strong enough, the how becomes a lot easier. Let me tell you about a young woman I met in Spain a few years ago. She was training to be a concert pianist, practicing for hours every day. She told me, "There are days I want to quit. Days my fingers hurt so bad I can barely type. But I remember watching my father cry the first time I played. I remember how music pulled me out of depression. I remember who I become when I'm at that piano." That's her why. And that's what fuels her discipline. Not motivation, not applause, not perfection. Just love, commitment, and purpose. Discipline doesn't mean grinding yourself into burnout either. It's not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's about choosing what matters most and structuring your life around it. Discipline actually brings peace because you're no longer at war with your laziness, your distractions, your procrastination. You're in sync with your goals. You don't feel guilty for taking breaks because you earned them. You don't feel like an imposter because you've been doing the work. Discipline clears the mental clutter and brings clarity to your path. Some people fear discipline because they think it means giving up fun or spontaneity. But that's not true. Discipline doesn't remove joy. It amplifies it. Because when you've done the work, rest feels better. When you've earned the reward, success feels deeper. You're not numbing your guilt with distractions. You're celebrating your growth with intention. That's real freedom. That's joy with depth. And let's not ignore the truth. The world is full of distractions. We live in a time where instant gratification is only a click away. Scrolling, binge watching, swiping, it's all designed to keep us from doing the deep work. But the people who rise above are not necessarily more talented. They're just more disciplined. They've trained their minds to stay focused. They've said no to things that look easy so they can say yes to things that are meaningful. I want to talk to the student in the room who's struggling to study while everyone else is out partying. The entrepreneur who's grinding through long hours while others sleep. The parent who's sacrificing sleep to build a better future for their kids. To every one of you, I see you, and I want you to know, you're not crazy. You're not alone. You're not overthinking it. You are doing the work. And even if no one's clapping for you right now, your future self will thank you 100 times over. And that's what it really comes down to. Doing it, it's sacrificing what's fun for what's fulfilling. It's believing that you're worth the effort, the sweat, the repetition, because you are. You don't need a better plan. You don't need a bigger following. You don't need a new calendar or a new tool. What you need is a choice, a daily choice to show up, to stop negotiating with your excuses, to stop making discipline optional, to stop treating your dreams like they don't matter, because they do, because you do. And even if no one else understands it, even if people laugh, even if they call you obsessed or too intense, keep going. The day will come when they'll ask you how you did it, and all you'll say is, I didn't stop. And maybe you're sitting there thinking, but I've already failed too many times. I've broken too many promises to myself. If that's you, I want you to hear me now. Discipline doesn't require a perfect past. It just needs an honest decision, right now. A decision to start again. A decision to rebuild trust with yourself, brick by brick, habit by habit. You don't need a clean record. You just need to show up today. Look, I've met ex-athletes who gained back control of their lives after addiction, not because they were constantly motivated, but because they chose discipline when everything else was chaos. I've seen young students from rural towns rise to scholarships, not because they were geniuses, but because they studied every single night while others slept. I've seen artists practice in silence, athletes run in darkness, writers sit in front of blank pages for months before that one idea finally comes alive. All of it, discipline, quiet, steady, relentless. Let me ask you something. What's your cathedral? What are you building, one brick at a time, even if no one else sees it yet? Because you need to know that everything you're doing, every 5 a.m. alarm, every rep at the gym, every chapter read, every hour worked, it's not invisible. It's forming something inside you. It's shaping who you are when no one's watching. And one day, people will see the result. But more importantly, you will. We live in a world obsessed with speed and shortcuts. Everyone wants the set-and-day transformation, the 30-day results. But discipline? Discipline honors the process. It understands that greatness is built over years, not weekends. There are no elevators to success, only stairs. And yes, they're steep, but they lead somewhere real. There's a story about a Japanese bamboo tree. After you plant the seed, nothing happens for the first year. Nothing happens the second year either, or the third, or the fourth. But in the fifth year, it grows 80 feet in 6 weeks. Was it growing all along? Absolutely. Underground, building its roots, preparing for greatness. That's what discipline does. It builds you invisibly until one day your results shoot up like bamboo. But only if you don't quit watering. Some of you might not feel ready. You're waiting for confidence to arrive. But confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a result. It's built through action. Discipline teaches you that you don't need to feel amazing to start. You just need to start. Feelings follow action. And the more you show up, the more your self-trust grows. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not hype, not luck, but trust in your own consistency. And let's talk about legacy. Because at the end of the day, when people remember you, they won't remember how motivated you were on a random Tuesday. They'll remember what you built. They'll remember the family you supported, the community you lifted, the business you created, the art you shared, the people you inspired. All because you were disciplined enough to keep going, even when it wasn't convenient. That's what leaves a mark. That's what lives on. I want you to picture your future self 10 years from now, standing on the other side of everything you're dreaming about today. What would they say to you? Would they thank you for your sacrifices? Would they smile and say, "You did it. You didn't give up on me"? Or would they ask why you quit when it got hard? why you waited for motivation that never came. Because right now, today, you are shaping that future. Every small action matters. Every repetition counts. Don't underestimate what you're doing just because the progress is slow. Don't quit just because it's quiet. Sometimes the loudest victories are the ones you fight for in silence. Let me tell you one final story before I leave you with a message to carry in your heart. A few years ago, I met a young man who wanted to become a firefighter. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the tallest. And people laughed when he said he wanted to join the force. But every day, without fail, he trained. He ran. He studied. He practiced climbing stairs with weights on his back. People said he was crazy. But he said, when the alarm goes off in the middle of the night, someone's going to need me, and I won't be the reason they don't make it. That's discipline. That's heart. And yes, he made it. So to you, the dreamer, the builder, the fighter, the believer, I say this: you don't need permission to start. You don't need approval to stay the course. And you don't need motivation to change your life. You need discipline. You need the courage to take small steps with great commitment. You need the vision to see what's possible. Yesterday, and most of all, you need to believe that you are worth the effort. Because you are. You were never meant to live at the mercy of your moods. You were meant to create your future with your actions. So show up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And remember, motivation might spark the fire, but only discipline keeps it burning. Thank you.